What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today, we are continuing our PostgreSQL series, learning about unions. Now, unions are often compared to joins because you're kind of combining two tables. But with a join, you're putting columns side by side into one output. But with a union, you're putting rows of data one on top of another. And in this lesson, we're going to demonstrate how to do that. Now, if you've been following along, we have our character info. We have our Star Wars characters. What we're going to do is we're going to create another table called character info extra. And all we're going to do is run this, and there's going to be some extra data in here. Let's go ahead and run this. Let's come right down here. We're going to refresh this table. And now we have our second table, character info extra. We can get rid of this. You can get this down below. I'll have the code down below. And I'll also put in a GitHub link so you can download it and you can run it like that if you prefer that way. Now let's copy this and let's look at the difference between character info and character info extra. Now in our character info, we have, and let's bring this up a little bit so we can see everybody. We have 12 rows of data. There's lots of great characters in here, but we're going to pull this over. And now we have lots of other people, some newer characters, people like Finn and Rey, and I guess Mace Windu didn't make the cut earlier on, but Mace Windu is a huge character in Star Wars. And you'll also notice that we have Luke Skywalker again, which is odd because if we look in our original table, we also have Luke Skywalker. Now that's intentional because I'm going to use that for demonstration purposes. But oh my, that was an oversight. Now let's get into the actual union and see how this works. A union is simply going to put rows of data into one output combined with rows of data from another table or another output. So we're going to make two select statements, and we can make this really easy. We can select, and let's just do character underscore name, and we're going to select just the character name. We're going to do that from character info. So that's all we're doing. Super simple. And then we're going to say union. What are we going to union? What are we going to join these rows of data with? The exact same thing, except we're going to do underscore extra. So we have this character name in both tables, and all we're doing is we're going to put all of them into one output. So let's go ahead and run this. And now we have all of the character names right here. And let me position this a little better just so we can see them all. And actually, it's a lot of character names. So I'm going to pull it all the way up. We have a lot of character names. And so now there's about 20 characters in here. And there's a lot. And one thing you might notice, or maybe you didn't notice, is that we only have Luke Skywalker in here one time, which is perfectly fine, right? Luke Skywalker is only one character. He should only be in here once. But there are going to be times where maybe you don't want to delete that duplicate data, right? Maybe we want to keep the duplicate data because maybe it's data that can be duplicated and you want to know how many times it's in there. Well, all we have to do is come right here and say union all. And let's go ahead and run this. Now, if we pull this up, you're going to notice that we have Luke Skywalker right here. And then if we go down, we also have Luke Skywalker down here. Now, this is a very simple example because we're just looking at one column. But we can look at all the columns or 2 or 3 or 4 specific columns from each. Now, here's one thing to note. It does not validate the data at all. For example, if we come up here and let's go look at this table really quickly. Let's say we want to take the species. We can come down here and we can say species. And let's run this. And there we go. This does not validate data, does not validate whether these two should go together or anything. So we're just putting data in the same column, and that's it. And so the actual column names don't matter like they do in joins. With joins, you have to join them on a common ID, a common identifier, primary key and a foreign key. Union doesn't care about that. And so you do need to be a little bit more careful because you don't want to inadvertently put the wrong columns in the wrong place, and then you have really messy data in your output. And so all you have to do if you want to add more columns though, and let's just see what columns we want to add, is we can say character name, species, and testing my spelling, net worth. So we're going to take all these columns from each one, and we'll run this. And then in our output, now we have character name, species, and estimated net worth. But now for all the tables, not just one table. Now, that really is kind of all you need to know for union and union all. I will just say that typically it's not this easy. Sometimes you're doing filtering as well, and you can do that. You can actually make these entire full queries. You can say where and then specify your filters. You can also do order bys, and you can group the data, and you can do all sorts of things. One thing to note, though, is if you're going to use an order by works on the last one. So I'm going to say order by, and let's come up here. Let's do the estimated net worth, and let's do that. Whoops. Let's do that descending. So we're going to do highest to lowest, and let's get rid of this filter we were going to add. But let's filter on the order of estimated net worth, so it's highest to lowest. If we put this filter up here, and let's run this, you're going to get a syntax error because the order by can only come at the end. That's just a small note. But besides that, with union and union all, you can filter down your data from this table, filter down your data from this table, and then put it all in one output with the data on top of each other instead of like a join where it's kind of side by side. So that is unions in PostgreSQL. Be sure to mess around with this, try it out, try different columns, try adding filters. This is how you really get hands-on and you learn. And so I hope this was helpful. I hope that you learned something. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next lesson.